Okay, so in this video I'm going to show you a default attack for the top floor of Cafe on the cocktail bomb site. Now this is an old Pro League style attack that still works in ranked, even though metas have changed hands about 5 or 6 times. This still works. So I'm going to show you just the little steps you go through to get this plant down, because it's a fairly plant heavy bomb site. You don't need to go for frags. The plant on it's fairly simple if your team just take control of the proper parts of the map. So the two ops we're going to focus on this one is Flores, but most importantly Gridlock. Gridlock is super essential to making this take work, and the Flores also plays a big part in this now as well. So let's just go over some of the little details, because the things you do early in this attack are the things that actually benefit you towards the end. So for instance, we know they've got a Wamai, so at the second I get to the skylight, I instantly burn Wamais off the skylight, because later on in the game I know my Gridlock has to come to the skylight to throw smokes for an execute, and the last thing Gridlock wants to do is throw smokes for an execute, and all of a sudden there's a Wamai because the support players aren't doing their job, which is clearing utility, and at the start of the game, in the early part of the game, getting rid of gadgets for the execute. That's part of my job as Flores, and there's nobody better in the game at doing that. So when we start this, I'm actually taking the Flores drones, and what I'm doing is I'm Floresing this part of the bar, which is called Shaiko. Now, the reason I'm doing this at the start of the game is because where this Thorn's playing right here, where they want to play is basically at that rotate. They want to play at this rotate, and they want to be able to walk through that rotate, climb over the bars, and sort of shoot people through into shop, and sort of crouch walk up through here underneath skylight and shoot the person at the default plant, which is called trash wall. It's the right side of this wall. Even though there's trash bags here, we call it trash wall, but the right wall is essentially what we call trash. It's where you plant. This team has reinforced both these walls. You never want to do that. You actually want to have a person at a shield in this corner who can see all the way through to this angle. As you can see, Gridlock has already track stingered it, so somebody walking through there is less likely, and also red stairs is tracked. Even though you can't see a lot of it, it's actually tracked. So far we just went through Flores and Gridlock, but they're incredibly important to this attack, the Gridlock more than anything. So now that we're on this part of the attack, we need to just start getting the wall open, and because we got a buck, we can just buck this wall open. Now what happens in this attack is you need to get control of this doorway, which is called Rat Spot. Now teams should have loads of crossfires here, and they should have a shield. Now even though this isn't set up properly, it doesn't matter, because in ranked people are just running about like maniacs, and your attackers are not taking control of the appropriate parts of the map. So shield or no shield, if you're not taking control of this lounge here, it doesn't matter. They can have nothing set up in here. If you're not going to take control of it properly, you're going to get smoked. So as you can see in this, we get a little bit of bad intel, some bad droning. Our buck walks in and just gets hit by a Jaeger because we just had really bad intel. As you can see here, it was bad droning on our team's part, and he's actually our main entry, and he just wasn't getting enabled, and he got smoked. So we're going to show you a really good way to clear this player. Now I have a drone that I'm watching at the bottom of white, and that enables this Finca to get on this rappel, which we call suicide. Well, I call it's the suicide side of the map, but this is piano, because people are just going to walk down here and delete this player. But realistically, this angle only really counters somebody sitting in this little shop box. What you actually need is this window. But anyway, what we end up doing is we end up using the Flores to get the entry on these players at top white. So I know this is the case, so I bring a Flores drone in, I drop it down, we send the entry in, and as you can see, this person has to move. And Thermite gets the kill. So that's us. Control, Finca repels in, and we start going now through the mid round really quickly. We have Finca, as you can see, holding white, so nobody's going to come up white. Thermite's starting to get trash wall, and I'm now holding across the bar just to stop any potential crouch walk. Now this is the most important part, is the gridlock is essential for this execute. So, when I mentioned earlier that gridlock is now gone to skylight for this execute, if I didn't clear the one my disc at the start of the round, I actually cleared 2 of them with flashbangs, these track slingers get 8 up, and the smoke grenades also get 8 up as well. So we have a dead player who can watch a cam on red, and gridlock can now go to the skylight for this execute. So you're going to see the smoke grenade go down, and when the smoke grenade goes down, it cuts off one of the major lines of sight which defenders really want to take here. So you can see it's a pretty perfect smoke. So that's cut off, and now gridlock is actually holding this door, which is what we're called bar stock or the freezer door. And now our entry can also cut off this thorn, which this is awkward. Now this thorn is using these angles, but it doesn't work out for her. She should be scared of these angles, but she's not, and our entry ends up going in. I swap with the entry, I cover off white, thermite goes in for the plant, gridlock is covering the freezer door, and we're just destroying it. There's nothing we can do. Now you can also be pretty aggressive on these pushes. It's called a collapse. You don't just have a guy plant and a bunch of guys hold angles. You can collapse on the defenders. You know they're going to be around. C2, C1, pallets, tarp. Probably going to come through this rotated Shaiko, but it's all cut off. Run through freezer. You know where all the places are, but it doesn't matter. There's too much happening. They can't even hear the plant because the track slingers are going down. And the best part about it is, even if we all die, the diffuser's down and gridlock's on the skylight. So it's a really straightforward attack. The part about it that you just need to get right is this entry on here, and you can do it from the windows easily, but this is where the round falls down. If your team you're playing against isn't putting up the right shields, and it doesn't matter. If you're not taking control of these areas, it won't matter. But that's a default attack. Try it in your ranked games, and I hope you have fun with it.